In this video, I'm going to be talking about direction, and particularly I'm going to be talking about direction in relation to positive well-being and how it facilitates optimal well-being and optimal learning, and particularly optimized learning. And what direction is more of this overarching concept that relates to other aspects, such as aim or goals, that help to facilitate a more meaning-laden and value-laden process. And meaning-laden in terms of meaning-laden perceptions, meaning-laden motivations, meaning-laden emotions, meaning-laden feelings, meaning-laden actions, meaning-laden behaviors, as well as value-laden perceptions, value-laden motivations, value-laden emotions, value-laden feelings, value-laden actions, value-laden behavior, and a value-laden self. And what the meaning and value-laden essentially mean is they imbue, say, perception or motivation or emotions or feelings or actions or behaviors with meaning and value, if it's value-laden, right? And this helps directly cultivate greater meaning and well-being through either direct meaning, cultivating a meaning process, or developing a meaningful process. And that's directly in relation to the self and can form these associations and more of these positive influences, causes, effects with various degrees of efficacy, the more we move into this meaningful territory and engage in things like thoughtfulness and more of a thoughtful process, which is directly related to thinking about positive well-being, and also contains various perceptions, motivations, emotions, feelings, actions, and behavior, as well as an overall positive self that has various processes, expressions, self-expressions, and embodiments that can be a mix of those and combine them and stack them in various ways. And when we're thinking about direction is more of this general, overarching, energizing trajectory that we orient ourselves in. We orient perceptions, we orient motivations, we orient emotions, we orient feelings, we orient actions, we orient behavior, and we orient the self. And it's very good at more of this holistic, big picture orientation that doesn't require you to plan, or you could think of it as mentally exercise various perceptions, motivations, emotions, feelings, behaviors, actions, including the self, and through engaging in more of this energy demanding task, which involves goal setting, and that's more of a specifying a direction, as well as an aim, which is somewhat in between those two categories. An aim is more of a general focus. So you could break this down in the context of something, say, like you're learning a difficult subject. And you might start with a direction. So you want to, in this case, you want to learn more about well-being. And there's various avenues that you can pursue. But you want to start because you're starting with an open mind, or you don't really know too much at first, say, about well-being, or maybe you do, but you start with a direction, and that's I want to learn about well-being. And so you start navigating the world and directing your perceptions, your motivations, your emotions, your feelings, your actions, your behaviors, as well as the self towards uh, well-being and towards developing knowledge and learning and cultivating these meaning processes and value processes through meaning laden and value laden processes, expressions, self-expressions, and embodiments. And this can help you set aims and goals. And when we get, say, to actually you find maybe something that interests you, captivates your interest, then you might click on it. It's just like, oh, should I go and watch this? And so you're modulating the direction, and you can, to some degree, if you decide, say, I'm going to watch this video till completion. It's an education video, and maybe it's like 10 minutes long, and you deliberately, it's not like I'm going to watch this video because that would be a direction stuff, but I'm going to watch this video until it's done, right? That's an aim. It's kind of in this in between category. And then if you want to put a challenge, like a task, that's when you're going to make it a goal. There's some a degree of challenge imbued in that, or more of a task that we're completing, or we're modulating different aspects of the self, such as perception, motivation, emotion, feelings, actions, behavior, as well as the self, in accordance with a particular objective. That's more goal based, and goals tend to be more effective, and we tend to be more likely to reach a goal and achieve a goal. There's greater efficacy in how we pursue goals when they're specific and they're more and or they're broken down, rather than when they're kind of in this aim territory, or if they're focused out of the general direction, you're not really setting a goal. It's more like there can be implicit goals, but it's still more of that direction. And you'll find that direction is actually much better for creating more of these creative connections, and sometimes also greater for cultivating greater self intelligence and understanding about how sometimes we don't actually achieve a certain result, but things can happen and occur serendipitously by chance or by luck that benefit us in the future, or in which we gain some valuable insight going forward, or develop a more valuable meaning process, and gain meaning within that, or value, and can cultivate more of these meaning laden and value laden processes, expressions, self expressions, and embodiments. But goals tend to be more focused on the completion of a task and more achievement based, and they're specific to things like achievement. Where something like direction, it's addressing all of our psychological motivations, and particular like autonomy, specifically autonomy. It can address achievement, but often when it falls under a goal which is more narrow, and a direction is open, it's broad, and it's lateral. It processes things laterally, it can process things directly, horizontally, all directions. It encompasses that surroundings, and it's directly related to the self. What's self direction? It's how you maneuver the world and you go away. You have a way that you go in a direction, right? But if you have a route that you're going on, there might be an aim in that, or there might be a specific destination. And if there's a destination that you want to get at a certain time, and with some degree of punctuality, that's more of a goal. So you can see how all of those intersect. And oftentimes, what happens is we are more likely and more uh, apt to cultivate greater well-being, positive well-being, positive perceptions, positive motivations, positive emotions, positive feelings, positive actions, and positive behaviors, as well as a positive self, when we're operating within direction, rather than when we become attached, particularly attached or fixated on a goal, or we set a goal and we lose track of the general direction, or our general aim, because we can become more narrowly focused, and then we have more of a propensity to develop these attachments or fixations, or perfectionisms, and that can you even see it within, say, like dopamine operations in the brain, when we don't have when there's uh, when our expectations mismatch with our predicted outcome or reward after, say, the effort that you put in, and it's incongruent, so it's not what you expected. And not only is it not what you expected, it's an unpleasant surprise that produces negative perceptions, negative emotions, negative feelings, negative actions, negative behaviors, and can in fact impact well-being, and producing ill well-being. So, and a buffer to that is actually learning more of these positive ways of positively coping through positive perceptions, positive emotions, positive feelings, positive actions, positive behaviors, a positive self in the face of these unpleasant surprises and negative surprises. Because what happens is when we start to do that, we modulate other neurotransmitters along with that dopamine release, such as serotonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and GABA, that help to address those uh, high arousal alert conditions, regulating our mood, regulating our perception, regulating our behaviors, our actions, regulating our emotions, regulating our feelings, and regulating the self in relation to whatever that stimulus is that's in the environment. Stimulus being a change or something in the environment that, or phenomenon in particular in the environment that uh, impacts us psychologically and through often perception, but it can also occur through various psychophysiological processes. And that's all I wanted to say in this video. And I'll be talking a little bit more and expanding on this idea going forward. So So I hope you enjoy. Bye.